I'm very excited that you're here today. We're going to be talking to you about real stuff, okay? I know you've been in tons of sessions. You've seen a lot of slides that talk about theories and concepts and pillars and beliefs and mantras. I'm going to cut through all of that and just focus on what customers have actually done with Azure. Does that sound good? How many of you guys want to hear customer stories? How many of you guys want to hear about, Microsoft's vision and thoughts? Yeah, see, there's none of that. Too early for that, right? All right, so I'm going to show you these things because I just want you to know that these are all related, right? I work on the same team as everyone else when it comes to Azure. My clicker is frozen. All right, I'll just look at you, thanks. Okay, so this is the digital transformation stuff. Have you guys seen this slide or heard about digital transformation? Okay, basically it's just saying that there's a lot of stuff going on, right? You got to engage your customers, your employees, transform your products and operations. All this stuff sounds really great. When someone tells you you can do this, it's really exciting, but the reality is how do we actually make it happen, right? Martin, let's go to the next slide. It's working? Great. Okay, these are what we believe that you think this is what you need to be successful in the marketplace today with the kind of cloud with kind of the cloud infrastructure that you have. These are the things that you need, right? I think maybe I have to point it. All right. These are really the guts of Azure, okay? And it's really broken down into 4 components. This is your core infrastructure, your compute, storage, networking, security. These are like basic infrastructure related things, okay? This is a super cool and super sexy stuff. This is platform as a service. This is our advanced workloads, right? So you got Internet of Things, microservice, cognitive services, data and analytics, HPC, high performance compute, right? If you have really, really heavy intensive things, HPC. And then these are the tools. Any developers in the audience? Any devs, right? These are the stuff that you guys love. You live and breathe this every single day. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna talk about what customers are doing in this context, right? And this is for Azure Stack and Hybrid, which so many of our customers find to be important because you have all this stuff on premises. What do you do with that stuff that's on premises? You can't forget about it. You still have to do something with it. All right, I gotta go backwards like this, okay? These are Azure solutions, not that important for our discussion now, but if you have like a Microsoft sales rep or someone that you talk to, ask them about the Microsoft solutions. So the first story I'm gonna talk to you about is CarMax, okay? So CarMax had a real problem. Their real problem was they wanted to improve the experience of their 16 million website visitors per month, okay? This is serious. This isn't just some kind of a UI, UX experience. This is like a real business problem CarMax had. They want to make a faster response, right? If it takes you 10 seconds to load up a full page of a car, each second counts because you're just going to go somewhere else because no one has time for waiting for anything these days. They wanted to move towards a DevOps model, which could allow them to basically do things much faster. And they had really high storage costs, right? One car probably has 29, 35 pictures or so, right? Has anyone gone to a website and just kept looking? Steering wheel, clutch, backseat, right? There's tons and tons of photos. And based on the phone or the tablet, or whether you're using a Surface Book or a Dell notebook, whatever you're using, each image is gonna be a little bit different resolution, needs to be scaled differently. So you have to build all that stuff yourself. So what CarMax did is, and this is from their own words, right? Azure Storage provided us effectively limitless storage with read-accessible geo-replication, which basically allowed them to build something that was resilient and cost-effective. And this allowed them to generate images of different sizes for their automobiles on the fly and cache them for use when needed by various consumer devices. So basically just improve the experience for each of the customers based on what device they were using. And it also modernized the site, making it 100% mobile friendly and move them to a DevOps model paradigm. And what this means is if you guys have ever built an application and you've had to build it for how many different operating systems, right? Windows, Apple, any version of Android your users have, Android around the world, there's maybe 10, 15, 20 versions available at one time. So you would have to build and scale every image and every site for each of those form factors, right? I think some of the form factors, if you look at mobile, it can get up to around 1,200 different form factors. So let's say, Mark, you're designing this website. You have to keep in mind, what is someone using the LG phone? What's their experience going to be like? What is someone using the iPhone? What's their experience going to be like? That takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money to be able to do that. So this was a situation. This was a scenario. This was a solution. And what was the actual impact, right? They tripled the number of images that were stored and the ability to deliver them to the right device. So that problem I described earlier, they solved that problem with Azure. This is from the customer code. Azure PaaS gave us access to a complete set of capabilities that we didn't have to build ourselves. And access to development resources we can try, fail, and repeat. Our entire innovation model sped up with Azure PaaS. And you know, when we talk about failure at work, right? What is the cost of failure? At work, the opportunity cost is really the cost. So if it takes you 6 months to try an idea, you might get a little bit dinged if you try something and it totally fails. If it takes you 6 weeks or 6 days to try an idea, the cost of failure has now become shorter. So the opportunity cost is much smaller. So maybe it's going to become more encouraged for you to try new things and be able to fail, but not just failing quickly. So this was a problem, the solution, and the impact, but this is how they actually did it, right? So this is real stuff. If you go to azure.com/stories, you'll find this CarMax story, and you'll see these components in there listed, right? So they talked about tools, web and mobile, microservices, serverless, data and analytics, and all these pieces of compute. So you can see that, you know, using the cloud, it's not just a siloed thing, right? It's not like, hey, we just want to do PaaS, or hey, we just want to do IaaS. It's more of that, right? It's a whole framework and it's a whole thought process. So I spent a little bit extra time on this CarMax case because I wanted to show you the actual structure of how we're going to be talking about these, right? Here's the actual problem, because your manager may always come to you and say, what problem are we solving for, right? So this will give you a little bit of a foundation of what the problem is. How did they do it? And then everyone says, okay, that's great, that's sexy, we went to the cloud, so what? Who cares? What did we do differently? Well, we tripled this, we did that, we did this, right? So this format is the story, and then how it happened are these components. If you do want to go a layer lower, this isn't a conversation for that. You can go to the website or reach out to anyone from Microsoft, show them this slide. They'll be happy to show you what were all the bits and pieces that went along to making something like this happen. So does this format kind of help? We're going to be using this pattern throughout the rest of the next, I guess, 15 minutes or 10 minutes. All right, internal business applications. There's a company called Brainshark. They basically had a whole bunch of video content. How much of you guys have videos on premises that are just kind of buried in some treasure hunt that you gotta find that are just sitting over there? No one's really using them. So Brainshark has the same problem. They wanted to figure out a new way to create and engage their sales force. How many of you guys have a sales team, right? They always want stuff yesterday, right? And that's always a reason why, like, I could do this, but I need this. So Brainshark had this problem and said, you know what, we're gonna do something about it, but we also wanna gain insights and opportunities into this training that we're giving you so we can actually hold you and ourselves accountable for it. So they moved their videos to Azure and basically immediately benefited from adaptive bitrate streaming, and they use something called the Azure CDN, which is basically a content delivery network, which helps you with your video content to make the content basically closer to users. And then they did something really cool. They used augmented reality to be able to pair that with machine learning to create more lifelike simulations. So let's say a salesperson is confronted with a really tough question at their client. Well, different people react in different ways, and you may not be able to measure that because that's very subjective. But because of the machine learning and augmented reality they had, they were able to get that performance insight, and they got that information from simulations from Microsoft Analytics. So now I have more of a complete solution. And what I also did is it allowed me to have more effective engaged in sales training, but the real important part was coaching opportunities more easily defined. Remember, we started off with a problem of having tons and tons of video sitting on-prem that we don't know what to do with. So you take this video, put it inside the content delivery network, run some analytics on it, add some augmented reality to it, and now you have an incredible opportunity, and it also eliminated the cost of the video content management and maintenance. Okay, so how do they actually do it? They use data analytics, cognitive services, and networking, which makes a lot of sense, right? All right, this is one of my favorite things to talk about. This is a customer called Urban Refuge. They had a real problem, right? There's refugees all around the world. Urban Refuge had a specific refugee population that they were concentrating. I believe it was refugees from Syria. And they were wanting to find a way to connect 2.16 million refugees that were not living in camps, right? These are refugees that are kind of scattered all over the place. Traditionally, the only way refugees connect with each other is word of mouth marketing, right? They text each other through WhatsApp and other applications. And they need to get information about sanitation, shelter, food, right? Where can I get help? My child is sick. Where do I get food? Where do I get rations? Where do I get supplies? And they're all in different languages, right? Different languages, different scripts. So what do? They developed a mobile application using Visual Studio tools for Xamarin. They use DevOps with Hockey App. Hockey App's basically a way to get your apps out to people. And this was a real secret sauce, Azure Active Directory. So anybody who uses live.com, outlook.com, mail.com, MSN Live, right? Anyone who uses that, they're connected in this Azure Active Directory. And they built this application for Android, iOS, and Windows simultaneously. How many of you guys have built an app and had to make a tough decision? Do we build it for iOS? Do we build it for Android? Who are our biggest users? Who are our best customers? We can only do one, right? This is the power of and, not or. The power of and, which allows you to build an application for Android, iOS, and Windows simultaneously. That's incredible, right? That's planning for the future already. They rolled this out to 650,000 refugees. That's almost a 25% complete connection rate, right? And this is from the customer. With Visual Studio tools for Xamarin, we developed a mobile application targeting Android, iOS, and Windows all at the same time. This cut our dev time by half or more, and it allows our upgrades and upkeep to happen much easier, right? This is incredible. When you talk about actually wanting to change the world, this is a way you can do that. This is real. And you know what? How many people do you think did this? This is about 6 people at Urban Refuge worked together with Microsoft to make this happen. Unreal, unreal. And how they do it, web, mobile, identity management, as I mentioned before, with Azure Active Directory, Visual Studio Team Services, and compute power. Anybody here really focused on Red Hat? One guy? All right, we're gonna skip this one. You can come back to me later on if you want. This is a good case study as well. Anybody here really interested in HPC, high performance compute? Got a few people? All right, I got 5 more minutes, okay. So these people who needed Frame is a company that runs heavy 3D applications, right? They wanted to, just like everyone else, it has to work for every single device, every single browser, okay? It typically costs 5 to 10K to run their specific graphics application. It's very expensive, very intensive, and these VMs still take months to set up. So it's a very incredibly expensive and long and drawn out process. They wanted to be able to give consumers access to their software from anywhere in the world. So they use our NVIDIA Tesla graphics, they got the fastest performance workstation possible, and now they can deliver that service in minutes versus months. And if anyone here is a big fan of AWS, our performance was approximately 28% faster than the AWS VMs. They can run Autodesk, Revit, AutoCAD, and this would work for MacBook, iPad, Chromebook, or any other even low performance devices. So they're making sure they don't forget about any of their customers. Now, once again, this sounds sexy, this sounds cool, who cares, right? What was the impact? Azure GPUs are faster than AWS GPUs because of newer generation architecture. They also have a larger frame buffer so customers can host larger scene sizes. So this impacted the way their customers use their product. And because of what they were able to do, they figured out that, hey, customers might like it when we just build an environment and everyone can kind of come and play with it together in the sandbox. So they delivered a massive online course with capacity for 1,000 students. It took them 1 hour to set up the environment, and they used it for however long the customers wanted. When the customers were done, they put it down. They only paid for what they used. Now remember when I talked about failing fast and taking risk? Imagine if someone came up to you or your manager and said, hey, I've got an idea, let's do an online course for 1,000 people, let's create an incredibly expensive sandbox, and let's see if customers use it. That would never happen. Your manager would say, hey, that sounds like a dumb idea, why would we do that? This is our core business. But now you can set it up. If no one uses it, you don't pay for it. That's incredible, right? So you can try new things. So these things that I'm talking about failing fast and trying new ideas, it's real. And customers are doing it. This isn't just a slide. You can go to azure.com/stories and check out the slide yourself. Right? And how do they do it? Once again, web and mobile, identity management, as I mentioned before, high performance compute and storage. Okay, this is a very simple case study, but I like to show it for a specific reason, right? There's a company called Generali. They're based in New York City. They were there when the September 11th attacks happened. And they were about a couple of buildings down from the World Trade Center. So when this happened, they had about a 1-week lead time for the backup restoration. They were so worried that maybe something could have happened to their business. And they said, you know what, after 9/11, we need a better solution. And our solution can't be just moving from one place to another. We need to have a better way to keep our business running. Right now, it would take them 1 week to get their business back up, right? They serve 68 countries and 65 million customers. They serve almost half the world in the countries and 65 million people. Imagine 65 million people not being able to access their insurance for 7 days. How many of them would stick around? They'd be gone like that. In this world, you ain't keeping a customer for 7 days. So what do? They use Azure Site Recovery and a coordination of virtual machines. When they use Azure, they use their own data center as a recovery site, and they can run off Azure indefinitely during a disaster. So this was their old process. It took them a week to do it. They use Azure, and now they changed the entire process. Once again, right? Was it just lift and shift? What was the real impact? This reduced their DR cost by 65%. Those are real numbers, real numbers. Easy testing. And instead of 1 week of lag time, they can be up again in minutes. Maximum data loss of 30 seconds, right? It's incredible. So a problem of how do we keep our business going? And right now we're going to be hosed for 7 days we're going to be back up in minutes, right? This is real stuff. So if you're starting with trying to talk to if you're trying to be that champion, if you're trying to be that pioneer of bringing cloud, dev test and backup is one of the easiest ways to get started. The reason is the story is simple, people can understand, it doesn't cost a lot of money, and you're not messing with a lot of political capital when you're going into it, right? Let's say you haven't done anything and you want to dive straight into IoT. If you want to do that, go ahead. But going to IoT is a fundamental mental and business model shift in your organization. Backup, DR, and dev test is not. Much more simple to get started. Does that make sense? All right, I think that's the last one I had. And how do they actually do it, right? Very simple. This is a very simple one, right? IaaS, compute, storage, and networking. All right, I think I have 60 seconds left. We can just show you guys the IoT slide. Once again, all of these cases are available on azure.com/stories. Right, this is Sandvik Coromount. They wanted to make high quality precision instrument manufacturing. They wanted to improve efficiency, reduce the cost, and make it better for customers to make business decisions. They converted their experience to basically making it all digital using Azure IoT, embedded machine learning, stream analytics, all this cool, sexy, and exciting stuff. But what was the outcome, right? They set up predictive maintenance schedules. That means you don't go when it breaks, you go before it's about to break. Remember that opportunity cost I talked about, failure? There it is again, right? You can set schedules and set alarms to take machines offline before failure. So before they fail and you have to start diagnosing what on earth happened, spending 20 hours, you can spend 2 hours and maintain it, and it's done beforehand. Anyways, I think I'm right on time. If you guys have any questions, you can come up to me or Martin afterwards. We can help out with any of the technical stuff or showing you where you can find these stories. But thanks for being patient. Thanks for waiting for me for a minute. I really apologize. I'm very sensitive to your time. I know you guys are exhausted. I'm sure everybody had a great time last night. Enjoy your week here in Ignite. Really happy to see you. I've got a few more sessions coming up. Just look for my name, Muzamil Ahmad, or Martin Booth. Think of like a Martin phone booth. And look them up. We got 3 sessions left. We're doing some really cool stuff with Legos and other things about cloud fundamentals, so you can really be ready to go back to work and try to be that change person when it comes to your organizations. All right? Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.